We're back. Tales from the dark side. It's been a little bit, it seems like, bouncing back and forth, doing different fishing. It's that time of year. I do this show to kind of introduce the people I deal with and the people here at TA Mahoney. And I'd say over the last year, it's probably been about 14 months or so, maybe even 15 months now. I've been working, doing a lot of internet stuff, this podcast being one of them, and just kind of wanted to introduce you to the guy behind the scene who's really putting stuff together for us. I know a lot of people that have seen those TV shows on Waypoint have given me a lot of compliments about catching fish, but to be honest with you, it's all in the editing and the film, and that comes from my weirdo buddy, one of my youngest weirdos. How old are you, CA son?
I'm 21.
So anybody out
21.
there, I'm sure y'all have heard of the big man CA Richardson. This is Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron has followed the line of just doing editing and that kind of stuff. Where did that come from?
Yeah, filming.
What got you into it?
Filming and CA. CA got me into it. I was
forced
for
you to do it?
Yeah, he was the first one I started with. And when I was just getting into it, I didn't have a camera or anything like that. I've been on his show a few times, so I've gotten to see kind of behind the scenes of how it goes, how the cameraman directs
What
the
was
shoot.
the first time you were on a show? How old
I was
were you?
probably 6 or 7.
All right, and I'll be honest with you. I saw one of those shows you were on. It was the first time I'd ever knew that CA had a son.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, oh, my gosh, don't tell me we're going to have this young, big-headed kid. I'm CA's son. As soon as he walks through the door, what kind of deal are you going to get me? But really, it was total opposite of that.
Yeah, no, I always joke around with people. I was like, CA's my dad. I tell them that. I'm like, he's my dad. I get to try to flip the script a little bit instead of me being always looked at as his son. But he's definitely helped me a lot and been able to introduce me to people. People know him, so it kind of, no matter how you look at it, it does, in a lot of situations, give me some sort of credibility to start with. I try not to lean on that too much, though. I want to be able to build my own identity, beyond just being his son. But he's been great.
I mean, what kind of vacations does CA's son go on when he's a kid growing up? I bet you've about seen it all, hadn't you?
Well, actually, that's funny. A lot of people will think that I go on a lot of vacations with him. I mean, me and him would go. Me and my dad would go on a lot of trips to the Smoky Mountains during the wintertime.
Right.
And then we go to Louisiana together. But other than that, we don't. He's extremely busy. And then at that point in time, I was playing travel baseball a lot. So I really wasn't able to go anywhere. The only other place that I would go was see my family in the Cayman Islands. So I'd go there in the summertime for a week. But we were playing baseball, just like how your son played baseball as well. Same deal. I mean, we were playing baseball
all year.
Literally all year. 49, 50 weekends a year. Yeah. Christmas and the first week of summer. That was it.
Right. Some of the best times for me, as a player, I can't tell you what it's like.
Yeah.
Because I didn't play that much ball when I was a kid. We had Little League, and then it seemed like we had some kind of winter league as I got older. But, when my son was into baseball, I mean, just every week you could go somewhere. I mean, you could really fill it up. There was no off time, and I enjoyed it. I'll tell you, some of the funnest time, and it's good fun. I've met some great people traveling throughout. And what are some of the places you've been playing baseball? Of course,
Texas,
it had to be to Atlanta.
Cooperstown.
Yeah.
Went to Cooperstown, Orlando, a bunch in Orlando.
When I was
Miami.
a kid, there was one World Series, right?
Yeah.
Little League. And it seemed like when my son was playing baseball, every other month was a World Series of some kind.
Yeah.
But it was still a good bunch of talent. Most of those kids, did you play against any kids that went pro?
There are some kids now looking at it that have gotten drafted that were very good then. I mean, we went against some kids, especially in other states. I mean, we were 13, 14, and they're hitting 360, 370-foot home runs at
Bombs.
13, 14. I mean, pitching on a short distance mound, they're throwing 85, 87, 89 miles an hour at 13, 14.
And that's some of the best baseball, because at that point, I don't know if, a lot of times you get into a little bit of daddy ball when you're playing in a little league and that kind of stuff. And usually by the time you hit that travel league, whether it's 10 years old or 12 years old, they're playing for talent. You're playing to win, and it really teaches you a lot.
Yeah, our tryouts were pretty for being how young we were, our tryouts were pretty tough. I mean, we had one of our coaches was actually a Rays player, Sean Rodriguez. He would come out there and coach us. His family owned our team.
That's awesome.
So they would come out there, and they took it super serious. I mean, we had 5-hour practices, 4 to 5 hour practices per day. We'd get there at 4:30. We wouldn't leave till about 9:30. We would do conditioning, strength training, and then actually practice every day.
Right.
So it was like when I played league ball, and then we would do travel ball. But league ball practice was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the next team gets to get on the field while the lights were still on. I mean, we would do it was they ran things as if it was a professional team. I mean,
and that's really the way it should be. And the talent that they're putting out is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, we had kids all over. I mean, we had kids who ended up doing really well in football. Because it was like our team was built to be strong at everything. I mean, we had kids who would not do anything else but pinch run, and they were the best at being able to pinch run that you would ever see. I mean, they would literally just sit there. They'd play in the outfield a little bit, but they weren't there to hit. They weren't there to pitch. They were just there to pinch run. You know, and so they really built our team to compete with a lot of the best ones around the whole entire country. But one thing
position
did they play?
Did you play?
Shortstop and pitcher and third base. So my easiest way to be able to get on the team, because we had a lot of good shortstops on our team. I mean, every one of those kids can field. So I was good enough to be able to get playing time and play, but my main purpose was to be able to pitch. So we had.
And that's important at those when you're playing those tournaments. There's so many games you can play up to five games in a day. Yeah,
when I first started I was decent at hitting. Yeah. My speed wasn't always the greatest, and my buddies will always tease me about it. They say I run in motion. My speed wasn't the greatest, but I would get on base a lot. But my hitting really started to get better as I got a little bit older. I wish I would have stayed playing baseball in high school, but honestly, the travel ball deal for me, it kind of, I don't want to say it ruined it, but playing that much,
it kind of takes
it out of you a little bit. I mean, I was so burned out on baseball. By the time I got to high school, I was like, I'll play anything else but baseball. Like, I'll try to play basketball. I'll try to play football, and I did a little bit in my freshman year. I was playing a little bit, but I should have probably kept playing. I think if I would have paced myself a little bit more, I could have done well. In
and
baseball.
A lot of times what happens is you end up, there's a reason why, and I'm not bashing anybody, but there's a reason why certain coaches, let's say a high school coach, there's a reason why he's a high school coach.
Yeah.
And he's not any above that. Yeah. You get people that have been there forever, and that's kind of what happened to my son at the same time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was at the age level where you're playing travel ball, you earn the position. And in most places, everybody on that team knows that you should be where you're at. Well, you'll find that some of the local high schools and stuff, especially in this area, I'd love to give the names out, but I don't want to bash him too bad.
Yeah.
Where they pick somebody actually with less talent.
Yeah.
Because it's daddy ball and his dad put up a fence or whatever it was.
Paid for something.
And that's what my son went through. And the funnest times were the youngest levels.
For sure.
For
sure. And especially toward we got toward the end where we all knew we were getting ready to go to high school.
Right.
I mean, if you'd have looked at it, our high school team was solid at Northeast.
Yeah.
But our high school team wouldn't have been, like, if you'd have taken the same team we had in travel at the same age group and we would have went against Northeast High School's baseball team, we would have destroyed them because we had the kids from the best schools. Right. I mean, if you looked at it, we had all the kids. It had been all the kids from the best schools on one team.
And that's what the private schools got to do. You know what I mean? We got one in Tampa,
insane.
Jesuit. Everybody
they're
else,
good. They're good.
Well, they're good because they can pick from wherever
they
want.
Yeah.
But they are good players. We played them. My son played at Armwood. They were second in the state.
Yeah.
He got to play against Jose Fernandez.
Yeah. We played against his son too. So Jose owned the Saints. He owned a team called the St. Pete Saints.
Yeah.
So his team was solid. We'd go against his team. And he would handpick a lot of the best players as well. I mean, he drew a lot of attention.
And a great competition.
Yeah, and people wanted to be on his team because they knew who he was, and they knew that their kid would be on a team that Jose Fernandez was coaching. So we went against him quite a few times, and we would win a lot of games against them. We would lose against them. I mean, they were one of the hardest teams to play, but they were really good. But I mean, we had people sometimes don't see the scope of how serious they'll take that travel ball. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember one time, and some of my buddies who didn't go to my middle school couldn't believe it. As I was getting ready to go to high school, there was a tournament, and they wanted to make sure everyone could go. But the tournament, they didn't care that there was school going on. It was a Friday. The tournament started at like 3:30. We had a lot of the public school kids. Private school kids could get out no problem, but public school kids, we had school still.
Oh, yeah.
So they came to my school in a helicopter, landed the helicopter in the field, picked me up while school was going on, and I left. I had to call and get it approved.
That's CA's son there.
Landed the helicopter at the school.
I don't think you could top that one. I mean,
I thought they were joking. They're like, we're going to pick you up in a helicopter.
I've never even ridden in a helicopter.
Yeah.
I've ran from helicopters. I don't know if that counts or not, but I've ran from them before, but I've never rode in one.
Yeah,
Hopefully I never have to, because the one I may have to ride in is a Coast Guard, and that's not a good situation when you're in there.
No.
So you kind of got out of baseball. You went through high school and just got into computers. Was that
not really? I mean, I played a lot of sports in high school still, and then I got into I wanted to work and obviously make money, and I worked at a tackle store for a while because I did love to fish. I was trying to fish as well. I mean, I did miss a lot of school toward the back end, junior and senior year. Me and Steven would miss a lot. Like anytime MR2 Steven. Anytime there was anytime there was a good tide, we were going to go, because I saved up my money and was able to buy a boat, just a cheap skiff to use, and I had a truck, so I'd always have to convince him.
I'm sure you really didn't have to get fishing gear, right? Your dad's sponsored by quite a bit.
I would get a lot of
the hand-me-downs.
We get a lot of free gear, so we'd go out there and we'd fish a ton. In high school, I kind of missed that because we don't really fish that much anymore. Me, him, and Gio are pretty busy, so we don't fish a ton. We got to go out though 2 weekends ago and fish in Homosassa. That was fun, but and then I started filming with my dad a little bit. I was like, hey, could I make some extra money if I film some of your videos? Because his production team couldn't always film every little thing, right? They couldn't be there for every little video for social media or whatever. And he's like, well, I'll pay you a couple $100 a month if you can, if you can stay on this and do this and edit it. I had no idea how to edit anything. I mean, so started to learn.
Even though you have to learn it, there's an art to it. You have to be super creative.
Yeah.
I know that years ago I was doing a cable type show, and I figured, well, production cost was like $200,000 for the year.
Oh, it's
right?
expensive, yeah.
So I thought, I'll just buy the camera and do it myself. And it's probably one of the most aggravating things to try to figure out, and I ended up, of course, giving up.
Yeah, it can be tough
because it's just
the editing is the
main thing. It's like with our show, and I explain that to people. It's not really me. I'm giving you some footage.
Yeah.
I'm giving you, the talking, but you're kind of blending everything together.
Yeah.
And I don't think everybody can do that.
No.
When you look at
one of the guys really who plays a big role in that, Spencer, he's really good at being able to do. He has a lot of experience. That was one of the reasons why I approached him with the opportunity. I knew there were going to be some shows that we could potentially film together. Spencer definitely has his own connections, but I knew I had a lot of connections with my dad, being able to potentially work with him. I'm doing marketing stuff like that for Anderson, and I've worked with him before, you know what I mean? And then I was starting to work with you, and you would tell me all these stories, and I was like, damn, I mean, if we could be there to capture some of that on camera, who wouldn't want to watch it?
Well, and some of the stuff I don't even think about, and I tell people that, I mean, the main reason why the push of what I'm doing and trying to get, not necessarily our name out there, but letting people know who we are and the things we do, just from the response, you'd said about, holy cow, I can't believe that, like when you point to this fish, I can tell you the story behind it. 90% of the stuff in the store is that way. And seemed to have worked.
Absolutely.
Is a creative part of doing it.
And I think when me and you talked yesterday, just launching 2 shows so far, and just seeing how much positive feedback that we've gotten.
Man.
I mean, really, when you look at, apples to apples, how much you've put out in the time frame and how many views you're getting on that stuff so far, especially on a pretty well-known platform for outdoors filming and just entertainment, it's pretty impressive.
Well, and the best thing is it's just letting our customer know. You know, it's like I told you, and I want the people out there to know, I'm not looking to gain any fame from what we do here. It's just entertainment, letting people know exactly who I am, who we are, the people we deal with. Cam has come up with a lot of ideas about this podcast. Everything from the people listening seems like a great response. So we went into video, and
Yep.
that's been a good one since then.
Absolutely.
What's the biggest snook you ever caught?
40 inches.
On the money? Who
On the money.
measured it?
I did. But I had people there.
Pinch tail?
No, yeah, pinch tail, 40 inches.
So you squeezed him. Did you pull
No,
his
I mean, he
jaw?
was like probably like 40 and a quarter. 40, I mean, but I wasn't going to say 40 and a quarter inches. I was 40.
Right.
But he was. I mean,
So you're in the 40-inch club.
I am barely, but I am.
What do you weigh? Do you know?
I don't know. It was I almost lost that fish. I mean, I caught it on a flare hawk on a bridge, 10-cent bridge actually, over in Terra Verde, the one they just took down.
Yeah.
In the center span where you're not supposed to fish, you get kicked out constantly. I caught him on the fender light. Just a lot of
Get
the
up
guys.
on the fender?
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't on the fender, but I mean, we'd have to. You basically, the guys that taught me how to jig fish, they're like, if you're going to catch a big fish, you're going to lose a lot of jigs. So you can't be afraid to lose jigs. But at that point in time, I didn't have a ton of money to be wasting on jigs, and they'd go out there and lose 10, 15 jigs a night. Especially there was one
That
spot.
can get expensive.
Oh yeah, there was one spot called the Jig Loser. That's what they called it, the Jig Loser.
But fish were there, I bet.
Oh, they were there.
You had
they
to
were,
cast.
They were there, and I had never really fished before with like live mullet and full live mullet and done any. I didn't have gear for that. That's not how I've ever really fished with my dad. Even to this day, I haven't really fished like that with him. So these guys were teaching me how to do a little bit of that.
Meat fishing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they would, cobia fishing at night as well. They were catching tarpon in the lights. They were good. They were good fishermen.
Old guys, young
No,
guys?
they were younger. They were probably like early 30s,
Where'd you
late
meet them
20s.
at?
At the tackle store. I mean, one of them worked with me. His name was Pat. And then another one, he was probably late 30s. So I mean, at that point in time, I was still in high school. I was 17. So they kind of took me under their wing, and I would just go with them when I could. And I had to convince my mom, hey, I can go. And then I'll still go to school tomorrow because, I mean, they would want to go certain nights, certain tides, certain deal. But we wouldn't get back till 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah.
High school starts at 7, So I was missing days.
I bet you were late at
I was.
school.
I
You're
was.
late when you come here. You had to be late in school.
I was.
I bet your teachers just kind of chuckle when you'd walk in, huh?
I mean, I would. They were.
Would you have a good excuse like you do now?
Well, I would always tell them. I was like,
traffic,
well,
flat tire.
I would just simply ask them. I was like, well, and respectively, I would just say, what's the average grade of a student in your class? B, C plus, whatever. And I was always higher than the average.
That was your
That was my justification. I was like, a lot of days we're watching a movie.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I mean, if I'm above the average,
You're ahead of the game.
I'm ahead of the game. So I just thought, if I don't need to, and my buddies will tell you, I would have a lot of people help me with doing homework for me, or being able to take notes for me when I wasn't there and stuff like that. And they would
On your behalf.
on my behalf, yeah. So I was still making sure I was getting my stuff done.
Sure.
Running it kind of like a business a little bit, but I graduated with a 4.0.
That's
so
awesome, man.
That's
awesome. And it's something you don't really get to see today, where
Yeah.
the younger crowd that's out there after it. And I'm telling you, he's after it. He's put some good stuff together for us,
Yeah.
and then doing some work with friends and other business partners that we have, and everything you see in the future, all the video, and that's going to be him. A lot of times, people put the videos out, and I see it, whether it be social media or on their own
Yeah.
YouTube channel, and the feedback they're getting is how great they are. And it's almost like the radio show. We've said this from day one on Sundays. The reason why our show's so good is the guy behind the glass you never
Yeah.
see, because he just makes everything flow, and that's kind of what Cameron's done for us.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, though, it's not just me for sure.
Oh,
a lot
yeah,
of a lot of
your
the stuff would
company.
a lot of the stuff wouldn't be possible without everyone helping out. And there's a lot of things that have to get done. A lot of that aren't necessarily the most fun or the most glamorous when you get to look at the end product. But if I had to do everything that has to be done on the back end, I would never have time to be able to film or do anything like that. And I'm
That's
always
right.
trying to bring on guys and be able to keep the people who I'm working with understanding how to do more. So I don't necessarily have to always be looking for talent outside of what we have. I want to bring the guys up to be able to do the job.
Sure.
you know, and kind of grow within. Because, I mean, I work with guys I can trust. All the guys I work with are guys that went to school with me pretty much.
Right.
So I've tried to keep the group tight and we all trust each other.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome to work with you. We got another segment coming up here.
Yep.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Perfect.
We're back. Part 2 of CA's son. So what's going on now, Cam? Let me ask you something. You've done a year of Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
What's the highlight? If you're talking to somebody and they're asking you about it or the footage, I know we've had all kinds of footage, maybe even the guys you work with. What's the highlight? What's the one thing? If you could only talk about one situation.
Running from the cops, man. It was in the.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, in the boat with the judge.
Oh, that was my story.
Yeah, but that's. Oh, you're talking about
I'm
what
talking about your
have
story.
I seen?
Now we've only been out on what, 3 trips now,
Yeah.
and we've had some. But out of those 3 trips
On the boat.
what's the highlight besides losing your phone?
Yeah, man, damn. That sucked.
That was a rookie move.
Rookie move. It was my own fault. You know, I mean, I knew, and when it happened, I was like, I had all my wallet is attached to my phone with my cards and my ID and everything, so that took forever to repair from that. But I'd say probably the offshore trip that we had. I mean, that was pretty cool. I mean, personally for me, I was I'm not huge into
You know what's
offshore.
funny is
But
we were talking about TV shows,
Yeah.
and this opportunity came up, and it came up quick. We talk about it on the show. The owner of the boat was fishing in the Viking Owners Tournament down in Key West. The captain, who's a good friend of mine, Tommy, Captain Tommy, called me up and basically said, "Hey, man, put some people together and let's go. We're going to go fish." And I said, "Shoot, you think we could get a film crew? Would that be?" He goes, "Yeah, we can do that. There's 2 of them." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "We got room for them." So that's when I called you,
Yeah.
and we started putting it together. And I don't really think that you know, that sounds all big and fun, but I don't think people know what goes into that
No,
kind of trip.
Yeah, and really, what's crazy is we did pretty much still have good weather. You know what I mean?
Oh, beautiful weather.
That would be considered beautiful weather for that trip. And
Oh, for sure. We dealt with 5 foot one day
on one day, the first day,
and 2.5 days of nothing.
I don't know. It's just, I mean, some people don't get seasick, you know, and with me, it's like, I didn't get sick on the trip, but I felt terrible.
You were close. I mean,
was
that
close.
needle was almost hitting that mark.
There was a few times I was like, I got to get out of the cabin, Mike. I got to go outside. And you're like, okay.
And there wasn't nobody staying in the way.
No,
Let me tell you something. When he went to head out, he goes, "I got to get outside." He meant right now.
And I was moving pretty fast. I mean, I got outside. I didn't throw up, but I was like, "Oof, I got to clear my head." And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, I can't go back in there. So I ended up staying outside.
Well,
for a
and
few
you know what
days.
happened that first night? We had 5 6-footers.
Yeah.
We were out in 1,500 feet of water, and we were running back into 400 feet, and it was a little bit bumpy.
Yeah.
But then it kind of slacked off. But once you get that first day, and you were in the cabin
Yeah.
at the time, and you're trying, that's kind of anybody that ever goes on a big boat, you got to kind of know that you want to be able to see your surroundings. You know, I mean, I've been around boats all my life, and there's still certain things I don't do. When it's real rough, I don't like going down in the cabin. Well, you know, I'm sure we said something to you about it, but we were all in there going to sleep or whatever else, getting bounced around. But you kind of changed your bedroom plans there after the first night, didn't you?
Yeah, I ended up sleeping outside for 2 or 3 nights.
Which really wasn't that bad because
No.
it was still cool.
It was, yeah, it was still springtime. It wasn't bad. But I was just like, damn, you know, I underestimated how that would be because it was calm and I was still having to sleep out there. I was like, no.
Well, and you've been on a micro skiff all your life,
Yeah.
petting fish, and
Yeah.
2 inches of water. It really doesn't get big.
No, it doesn't get big like that. I mean, we got some cool footage. I mean, I don't think – I told Spence, I was like, it would be hard to top that experience. You know what I mean? Because not everyone gets to go on a trip like that. And not even close. Especially when I was talking to my dad. He's like, enjoy that. He goes, because people
I can honestly tell you that I'm in the business. I fished all my life. and that was my first time doing that trip.
Yeah, that's not something that everyone gets to do. So that was cool. And I mean, like I was telling you, one of the coolest parts about it is that video will live on forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll be able to always look back at that and remember how that went. But I would say like that trip overall was probably the number one thing that would tell my buddies about. But what I remember from all of that we've done so far is Matt Slap, man. I don't know, like him as a person, but his sayings and what he does.
He's a weirdo. He has got the title weirdo.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to meet.
Great guy.
I'm glad I got to meet Matt Slap, and overall, he's probably one of my favorite guys that I've met from you. He's just a good dude. He's a good dude. And when he's there, it's just he's like that buddy you have when they're there. It's gonna be a good time. And it's not anything in particular that he does. It's just his energy and his.
Yeah, and if he sees you sitting there being quiet, he's gonna get you involved.
Oh yeah,
he'll be the first.
His oh yeah. I mean, we've all adopted that. We all say it. So we all say it now. So
that's on Waypoint TV. That's how they get a hold
Waypoint
of it.
TV.
All the podcasts and the TV shows are coming out. We got another one coming out here probably in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
We did one up with Al Hamaker up in Chaslewisca. It was a killer one.
Yep.
Another good one other than you losing your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I got figured that out. That was a pain in the butt because they didn't want to sell me a new phone without an ID. So the ID, I wish if I'd have lost the phone and didn't lose the ID, it'd have been okay. But when I lost the ID, because I had to fly that week and I had to try to find where my passport was because I didn't have any other identification or whatever.
So he's on the boat. He's got a pair. You'd think CA's son, he's going to have something with a zipper pocket, some, Columbia shorts. No, he's not wearing that. He's wearing some kind of baggy, 3 sizes too big Nike shorts, like a basketball
No, they weren't
player.
that baggy. They weren't.
Yeah, they were. They had like long pockets. Long pockets where you could drop stuff in it. So he's sitting on the side of the boat and
getting ready to film.
And got to be posting on Facebook like these kids are always on their phone. I mean, you can't do nothing. They're always texting or sleeping, one of the two. And he pulls the phone out and boom, overboard.
Yeah.
And what'd the guy tell you? That's 26 feet of water.
Yeah.
That's the deepest spot within 5 miles.
I was just thinking in my mind, I was like, this is going to be a long day because I already knew. I mean, I had doing the filming, but also having the marketing stuff that we do with the other guys that I work with. I already knew I wasn't going to really be able to talk to them much. People were going to be texting me and then wondering why I'm not responding back.
You made it happen, though.
Made it happen. Figured it out.
You got through it.
Yeah, got through it.
You had somebody with you there, Spencer, that could get a hold of who you needed to.
Called Steven and Gio, and they were able to pretty much handle it while I wasn't there. So, like normal. I mean, I'm not there a lot.
It worked out. Are y'all, what's the name of your business?
Simply Affordable Marketing is the name of the marketing business.
And
we're getting ready to
get
change
a hold
that.
Of you?
We have a website that's live right now. We're getting ready to change the name of that business, probably to Prime Media or Prime Marketing. We haven't decided yet, but we're going to change that name. And then we have now Lateral Media, which is the filming. So, but my phone number is 727-417-3582.
And you still have room to get people on board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm working on being able to grow the size of our team, and we're kind of in a position right now where we get to pretty much be selective with what we want to take on. And everyone that I work with, whether we end up working with them long term or someone might call me and have questions or want to be able to have our team assist them in something that they do. If I don't think it's going to necessarily align with what we're trying to do or what we have going on, or if I think that they're in a position where they might not need our help, right, I'll give them advice and kind of put them on a path to be successful with what they need to do without even paying me to do that. Because I know if I do that, that person might know someone in a position where we can help them better. And it's just seemed to work so far, because a lot of the stuff that we do, it's not necessarily like some crazy technique that we have. Consistency is extremely important in making it work. So
right,
if the consistency is not there, a lot of the time all the things that we do don't work. I don't hold back on explaining what we do to people. I'm not worried about them trying to do it on their own without hiring us to do it or whatever, because what ends up happening, and I've seen it happen firsthand, and it happens all the time.
Sure.
They can do it for 2 weeks, but they can't do it for a whole entire year,
not what or
a month, or 3, 4, 5 months in a row.
The same thing I've realized, and you don't do just filming.
No.
and TV
No.
shows.
Web design, logo design,
social media,
social
stuff.
media, yeah, management. We do all types of photography work. We're getting ready to do weddings now, wedding videography and photography. We do corporate events. We do the filming. Obviously, we do commercials. So we try to keep it all in house. That's what we've been all trying to learn. We do fulfillment for a lot of websites that we sell product for. So we don't really try to outsource a lot of it. I want people to know when they hire us to do something that they're hiring us to do something. They're not hiring me to outsource the work to someone else and make a cut from it. So they can hold us accountable for whether it's done right or wrong, one way or another.
If you're listening to this, it's working for Mahoney's, I can tell you that. Cam, I appreciate you coming out today, talking with us. Give your number out one more time. 727-417-3582. Give him a call. He's done great for TA Mahoney, and we appreciate it, Cam.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.